Elijah. In Matthew 11:14, he said, if you are willing to accept it, talking about John the Baptist, he is Elijah who was to come. Now, that's a little bit confusing. If Jesus says he's Elijah, and John's saying, I'm not Elijah, what's going on here? What Jesus meant was that John was the fulfillment of the Malachi prophecy of going before him and ministering in the power and spirit of Elijah. He wasn't a reincarnation of Elijah. He wasn't Elijah come back. He was doing the ministry in the nature, in the spirit, in the power of Elijah. That goes in line with what was prophesied over John the Baptist in Luke 1:17. It says, and he will go on before the Lord, and in the spirit and power of Elijah, to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the disobedient to the wisdom of the righteous, to make ready a people prepared for the Lord. So Jesus understood the nature of John the Baptist, that he was coming in that prophetic calling to do what he was prophesied over his life to do, but he wasn't actually Elijah. And so that's why John answers correctly when he answers their question, because they're looking for literal Elijah, not the one coming in the spirit and power of Elijah. They had misinterpreted Scripture. It's so important that when we look at prophecy, when we look at Scripture, that we interpret it correctly. Otherwise, you come up with wrong conclusions. So often, people take Scriptures out of context. They put on them what they want and what they feel, and you come up with wrong conclusions. Prophecies in the Old Testament. Understand this clearly. Prophecies and promises in the Old Testament are sometimes made to an individual. Let me say that again. Prophecies and promises in the Old Testament are sometimes made to an individual. Sometimes they're made to a family, a specific family. And sometimes they are made to a people, the Jews or the nation of Israel, to a nation specifically. And if you take those promises and you take those prophecies and try to apply them to you, the church today, or you individually, you go astray. And so often the prosperity preaching prophets and false teachers, they take these Old Testament promises, these Old Testament prophecies that are made to an individual or to a family or to the nation of Israel, and they try to apply them to you, and they don't apply.